Congratulations to the class of 2021. I am so proud of each and every one of you. You stayed the course. You withstood the test of time. And now you're graduating. You now become part of over 30,000 individuals who've graduated from Winston-Salem State University. I know because of your presence here and the work that you've done and everything that you've accomplished, when you go out into the world, you're going to make a real difference. Our motto, enter to learn and depart to serve. And I have no doubt that you will do that. You're very special. You will always have a very special place in my heart. No graduating class has ever gone through a pandemic. You went through that and you did it with flying colors. You earned your degree. I ask that you do a couple things for me. I ask when you go out into the world to make the world a better place. I ask that you continue to uplift Winston-Salem State University. Elevate your voice and let the world know that this is a great university. You become part of a very special family. I look forward to you returning to campus. I look forward to having partnerships with you as we create opportunities for every student that comes to WSSU. So go out in the world, make a difference, and always stay strong and be Ram Pride.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alan Joins, the mayor of the city of Winston-Salem, and it's always my pleasure to be a part of the graduation commencement exercises for Winston-Salem State University. I want to offer my sincere congratulations to the students who are graduating this year, and most importantly, to the parents and guardians and family and friends who have supported these students during the 4 years or 5 years, what it might have taken to get to this point. Obviously, you had a great experience at Winston-Salem State, and I hope you've had an enjoyable experience living here in Winston-Salem. We view the energy and the skill set and knowledge that comes out of Winston-Salem State University as one of the reasons that Winston-Salem is so successful here, as we've moved our economy from one of manufacturing to one based on knowledge-based industries, and more recently to an economy based on innovation and rapid change. Winston-Salem State is playing such a key role in all those changes and preparing young people such as yourself for the new jobs of the future. I hope some of you will consider staying in Winston-Salem as we're growing a very robust entrepreneurial environment here and a very robust technology environment. So there are a lot of good jobs that are here, and hope you'll take a look at them because we really need your energy and your expertise that you've gained with your experience at Winston-Salem State University. I'll just say to you my very best wishes. I hope you will, as you go into your career, develop a good balance between your work life and your personal life, and have a good balance that spends time on both, obviously, but also doesn't get overwhelmed by your work life, because that personal life is so important as well for your own well-being and well-being of your family and your friends. So again, my very best wishes to you on this wonderful achievement in your life, and may God continue to bless you and Winston-Salem State University. Thank you.
Today, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing greetings on behalf of the University of North Carolina Board of Governors and the UNC System President Peter Hans. While circumstances prevent me from being with you in person, I could not miss this opportunity to congratulate you on this momentous occasion. Graduates, congratulations. We celebrate you and your accomplishments. We applaud your hard work, your diligence, your determination to overcome despite the COVID pandemic. The experience you have had during your time at Winston-Salem State University will resonate throughout your life. You have gained the knowledge and skills you will need to achieve success in these ever-changing, complex times. You have accomplished much, but remember that no matter how brilliant or prepared you are, there are the backstage actors who have played an important role in your success. First and foremost, your parents, guardians, and family members have made sacrifices for you to enter to learn. Then there are those who have worked diligently to ensure that you are ready to depart to serve. and so it is also important to acknowledge the contributions of Winston-Salem State University faculty and staff, especially those who have helped, encouraged, and provided you the proper guidance to succeed. There are a number of faculty members on this campus who exemplify outstanding teaching. Today, I want to recognize one of them. It is my privilege to present this year's Board of Governors Award for Excellence in Teaching to one of the most outstanding faculty members. Established by the Board of Governors in 1994 to underscore the importance of teaching and to reward great teachers across the university, the awards are given annually to a tenured faculty member from each of the UNC campuses. This year's recipient from Winston-Salem State University is Dr. Lynn Zubov, Associate Professor of Education. For outstanding teaching and dedication to student success, for significant contributions to the field of special education, and for outstanding service and scholarship, I present Dr. Lynn Zubov the 2021 Board of Governors Excellence in Teaching Award. Thank you and congratulations.
Greetings to all of our esteemed guests, faculty, staff, family, friends, and of course to the class of 2021. We're honored that you chose to share this momentous occasion with our graduates today. It's no secret that this class is unlike any other, for we were destined to be different from the time we stepped on WSSU's campus. Just within our first week of classes, we witnessed a rare solar eclipse, and from there, we lived through many social injustices, an important presidential election, a global pandemic, and a gas shortage on top of the daily struggles college students face. If there's one thing we know how to do, it's how to overcome adversity and transcend when things seem impossible. To most, a commencement is a ceremony in which graduates walk across a stage and receive a diploma of some sort. But I want to share a different definition. The term commencement derives from the root word commence, referring to the act or instance of starting something, a beginning, or the onset of something new. Graduates, today doesn't only symbolize the close of our undergraduate experience, but it signifies the beginning of a personal chapter that only we are equipped to write for this book called life. Know that you're entitled to some typos, and every draft you write won't always be grammatically correct. But remember that your story is yours alone and will always be the greatest one ever told. Each obstacle we tackle is only temporary and solely exists to make us better than we ever were. So I ask you, what will your new beginning be? In this season, what greatness will you allow to commence as you leave this institution and embark on your journey towards growth and success? Wherever your next stage takes you, remember that you are destined for eminence and chosen for a higher purpose in life. You are capable of so much more than you will ever know, and it's because of your own strength, knowledge, and longing for prosperity that you will achieve whatever you desire. Graduates, I challenge you to embrace this new beginning and to commence your flight to greater heights. Congratulations, class of 2021, and I will see you again at the top.
Chancellor Robinson, members of the WSSU Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, alumni, family, friends, and above all, those we are celebrating today, the incredible graduating class of 2021. It is with immeasurable honor that I have the opportunity to share my farewells and congratulatory remarks. Greetings to all and congratulations to the class of 2021. We did it. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, yet not a moment that all get the chance to experience. It is not by chance that you have made it this far. Your hard work, your dedication, your work ethic is what has set you apart and led you to this monumental moment. The sleepless nights, long hours at the library, the fried chicken Wednesdays, the pandemic that stole so much from us, the laughs, the wins, the losses, KR, friendships that'll last the test of time, and the lessons that have molded us for the greatness that lies ahead. I charge you all to continue to be Ram strong. Never stop being resilient. As you work so hard to get here, never stop persevering to the next level. You deserve every piece of greatness you go after. Be an advocate for not only yourself, your family, your friends, but the world around us. We are what the community needs so desperately. We are the teachers, the doctors, lawyers, engineers, and artists the world now looks to for change. And be that mentor. We vow to enter to learn and to depart to serve. So continue to leave your legacy by returning the same love and support our HBCU granted us. I'm not sure what life may bring in the future, but I know we are prepared for it all. With much love and appreciation to all who have played a role in getting me here today, I say thank you. Thank you to God. Thank you to my family and my friends. Thank you to WSSU, and thank you to the class of 2021. Congratulations.
Arion Adams. Chidima Agwu. Tosiro Muro Apara. Micah Arrington. Tisha Augustus. Brendan Austin. Candelaria Aviles. Ismail Awad.
It's a great moment. Thanks for all my instructors, my colleagues. I learned a lot from all of you. Special thanks for Dr. Hamd Radwan. Thanks for my family, my father, mother, my wife, and my kids.
Michaela Bailey. Ariana Baker. Kiara Baldwin. Tony Bass. Peyton Bennett. Danielle Berry.
I'd like to thank my friends, family, and advisors for getting me through my journey here at Winston-Salem State University. Go Rams!
Elise Berry. Jaslyn Best. Keela Biddle.
Thank you to my family and my friends for just motivating me and encouraging me and just cheering me on through the finish line. I am so glad to be a part of 2021.
Jakira Blackwell.
Hi, my name is Jakira Blackwell. I am honored to be part of the class of 2021. I will be graduating with my bachelor's degree in healthcare management. Thank you, Winston-Salem State University.
Alexis Blunt. Charles Bonds.
Sierra Boone. Alicia Broadway.
I'd like to thank my family, my friends, and all of the faculty at WSSU. I would like to give a huge thank you to my mom for always being supportive and pushing me past the finish line.
Charlasia Brown. Sakia Brown. Arion Brown. Kamaya Brown. Alexis Brown. Ariana Brown. Caparius Bryant.
I'm Jakira Bryant, and I'm graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. I'd like to thank my mother, my father, my sister, and my grandparents for helping me with this great accomplishment. Thank you.
Calfee Mallory. China Cardenas. Kim Carter.
This MBA grad is grateful to God and grateful for the love and support of my parents, family, and friends throughout my journey.
Jordan Carter.
Thank you to all my family and friends for their support. It feels so good to be around.
Tierra Casey. Taylor Champion. Sierra Chestnut. Jaden Clark. Darian Coachman. Mia Coates. Caitlin Koger.
Tadrina Coleman. Tiffany Coleman. Miracle Cook. Ryan Craig.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, for always having my back, for supporting me, for helping me with Ryan, school, and everything. I love y'all so much. Thank you. Bye.
Okira Dalton.
I would like to thank WSSU for the experience I had as an undergrad. Shout out to my dad, my stepmom, and my friends. I love y'all, and we finally did it.
Triquana Davis.
I'm super excited to be a double RAM. I want to thank God for allowing me to complete this journey, and thank you to my family and my friends.
Shani Davis.
I would like to thank my mom, my dad, Damian, Brian, Shannon, Bud, the boys, and most importantly, God. Thank you.
Tamaya Davis. Alexis Day. Mary Johanna de los Reyes.
I want to say thank you to my family and friends who supported me on my journey. Again, thank you and God bless.
Maria Gisello Deleguero. Nia Dickens. Kalia Dixon. Jacoblin Doe. Arlena Douglas. Darren Dowdle. Vivian Duck. Deanna Duncan. Timothy Dunn.
I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to my parents, to my sisters, extended family, and friends for your continual prayers that brought me here to graduation.
Tariq Dunn. Megan Dyer. Cynthia Ellis. Latisha Evans.
As an individual, a wife, a mother, and a student, she chooses to use her thoughts, her voice, and her compositions to write her story.
Lauren Evans. Caleb Farrar. Taven Felton Stackhouse. Antoine Forte. Ariane Freeman. Traymon Frank. Diana Garcia.
Hey guys, if it wasn't for my kids, my immediate support system, there's no telling where I would be right now. So I just want to let you know, guys, we're done. It's only up from here.
Karan Gates.
April Gilbert. Valena Glenn.
I'd like to thank everyone who have supported me and loved me and encouraged me through my journey.
Crystal Gomes.
I look forward to adding my MHA to this wall of accolades.
Austin Green. Felicia Grimes. Rana Hamza.
First of all, thanks to Allah. My thanks to my kids, my husband, my mom, my brother, and my family. My thanks to my teacher and my colleague. Thank you. Love you all.
Tarisha Haynes. Denzel Haynes. LaPortia Hankerson.
LaPortia Hankerson, MBA. Thanks to God and my family. Proud to be a part of the continuous legacy of Winston-Salem State University. I love you, Ryan McKenzie.
Micah Harris. Harley Haney. Deja Hemingway. Mallory Hicks. Lauren Hill. Whitney Horry. Jasana Hosh.
This has been a journey I can never forget. I would like to thank my loved ones and my friends for always being there for me. Thanks, guys.
Tykasia Howell. Shatanya Howell. Ernesto Huerto. Rushdan Islam.
I am officially Dr. Rushdan Islam. I want to say thank you to all my family and friends and for the support of all my instructors. And to my little boy Titus, love you.
Taylor Jackson. Denai Jackson. Shavon Jefferson. Brian Johnson. Jabari Johnson. Rochelle Johnson. Ashley Johnson.
I did it. I'm 2 degrees hotter. I love you, family.
Kennedy Johnson.
To my family and friends, thank you for all the countless love and support over the past 4 years. I couldn't have done it without you guys. And to WSSU, I'd do it all over again if I had to.
Jewel Johnson. Dominique Jones. Taylor Jones. Latanya Jones.
Jasmine Joy.
Greetings, Ram family. I am Jasmine Ajay Joy, a senior exercise physiology major. Congratulations to the class of 2021.
Zaria Kalaman.
Just want to say thank you, family. Thank you, God. I did it. I'm graduated. I am grown now.
Ketsia Kasango. Alexandria Kimball.
I would like to thank my parents, friends, family, and professors for believing in me and helping me throughout my nursing journey. I couldn't have done it without you all.
Tammy King.
This has been an incredible journey, but it would not have been possible without my family, friends, and co-workers. To you, I say thank you.
Stanley King. Casey Latson.
I want to thank my family for support over these past couple years. Definitely everything happens for a reason, and if you're good, I ain't gonna lie.
Tanaya LaGrange. Lindsay Lake. Arnold Lane.
Fellow graduates, we made it. Congratulations. Shout out to the MBA class of 2020 and 2021. Really excited to see what we all do in the world. I'll see you at homecoming.
Caitlin Lassiter. Ariel Lawson. Amaya Leach. Brenda Lassane. Tania Lewis. Nia Lewis. Charbrier Lewis. Kiasia Little. Deja Logan.
Nakisha Long.
Huge shout out to my friends and family. We did it. 2021. It's a wrap. Period.
Kamani Long.
Janique Love. Claudia Losada Sanchez.
Hi, my name is Claudia, and I just wanted to thank my family, our professors, and especially my classmates who got me through this program.
Crystal Lynch. LaQuasha Lynch. Brianna Macon. Brianna Marshall. Kenya Marshall.
Enter to learn, depart to serve. WSSU, helping me live the life I deserve. Go Rams!
Ashanti Marshall. Gia Mason.
Graduation has finally approached, and I'm just a few steps closer to reaching my dreams, but I couldn't have done it without WSSU, and to my friends and family, I thank you all.
Christina Matos. Jasmine Matthews. Brittany MacArthur. Angela McLean. Destiny McLean. Mariah McClendon. Arissa McDougald. Jernay McDowell. Ayana McQueen.
Hello, I would like to thank my entire family and friends for supporting me for the past 4 years. Thank you. Go SU.
Janielle McRae. Anaya Melvin. Casey Millen.
June Miller. Talasia Miller. Joaquin Miller. Sarah Montgomery. Deja Moore.
I would love to give a special shout out to my family and friends for always being supportive. I love you guys so much. Now Deja is officially signing out.
Kalila Moore.
I want to first start off by thanking God for allowing me to achieve this amazing milestone in my life. Thank you to my family and my friends for your constant love and support. And thank you, WSSU.
Jordan Moore. Mahogany Moore. Victoria Moore. Melissa Morrison. Ashanti Morrow.
Is there for me, and I love you all so much. Congratulations, class of 2021. We made it.
Evie Mosqueda Garcia. Shaasia Murphy.
To my friends and family, thank you so much for your continued support throughout this journey. And to WSSU, thank you so much for all of the memories. I always love you.
Takia Myers. Tierra Newkirk. Carissa Newsom. Angeline Nguyen. Sierra Nicholas. Taylor Nunnally. Bernadette Nzetai.
Tashay Octave. Chanaja O'Neill. Tia Opid. Mimi Owusu Ado. Ijimdimwa Ozodiwe. Tania Palacios Vargas. Jasmine Pankney. Jalpa Patel.
Thank you, everyone, all my family members and Winston-Salem State University for helping me achieve my bachelor's degree. Thank you so much.
Jennifer Paxton. Michaela Perry.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Grandma. And thank you to the illustrious Winston-Salem State University.
Elgin Pettis. Kayla Pfeiffer. Ayana Pierce. Kendrick Pittman. Victoria Porter.
First of all, I'd like to thank God for blessing me to make it thus far. Special thanks to my mom and dad, my Rendors Porter, and my older brother Darrell, and other family and friends who helped me along my journey. Sweet out.
Johnny Porter. Samir Purcell Burns. Naja Pyatt.
This is Naja Pyatt signing out of Winston-Salem State University. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. And most importantly, thank you, God. Go Rams.
Samantha Quick.
I just wanted to say thank you to my amazing support system. We did it, y'all. Thank you so much.
Vanessa Quick Cole. Lauren Rainey.
Thank you to my friends, family, professors in the exercise physiology department, and my choir director, Mrs. Dwala Simmons-Brick. Congrats, class of 2021.
Nyasia Ramsey. Tiffany Randolph. Havlin Ratchford. Jordan Reeves.
I would like to thank my parents, who are also fellow alum, my mother, a double alum from the great institution of Winston-Salem State University. I would like to thank everyone from Winston.
Imani Reed. Deja Reed. Victoria Richardson. Martika Renee Richmond. Jalen Robbins. Ashley Robertson. Alicia Robinson. Jaleesa Robinson.
Hey Nugget, I wanted to say congratulations on graduating. I hate that I can't be there, but I love you and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Frank Robinson.
My name is Frank Robinson. My major is mass communications. My minor is psychology. Of course, my wife, my children, and my mom. Without a doubt, I couldn't have made this through.
Bria Roddy. Oriana Rodriguez Reyes. Kimberly Rover. Janai Rowe. Jordan Rowe. David Riles. Deborah Rabicki.
Mary Rose Santos. Damian Scales. Barbara Schumacher. Robin Sexton. Jessica Sheets. Angelia Ship. Asia Simmons. Michelle Slaughter Mulligan.
I'm Michelle Slaughter Mulligan, and I would like to thank my parents, especially my mom, my husband, my family and friends for supporting me.
Amelion Smith. Stephanie Smith.
Thank you for 4 years of excellence and dedication. Thank you for the teachers who never gave up on me when times were rough. And thank you, Winston-Salem State, for giving me the power and strength for my future career.
Chelsea Spears. Nyasia Spears.
These last few years, I have learned a lot and gained some great friends. I'm grateful for the memories that I will hold and cherish forever. Thank you, WSSU.
Kiara Stevens. Taylor Stone. Diasha Sumter. Sekai Thomas.
Zarek Thompson.
Big alum status. Signing off. Thank you, WSSU, for the growth and all the people that I've met on this journey. So, love always, and let's go SU.
Courtney Thompson.
To my support system, family, and friends, I love you guys. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I love you all.
Kalia Thompson. Shamaya Thompson. Martasia Thompson.
Jamal Towns. Pelagia Satsaronis. Tyra Turner. Cedric Turnier. Caitlin Tweet. Brendan Valentine. Onisesa Washington McLaughlin. Tatiana Waterman.
Thank you, God, and thank you to my family and friends who have supported me throughout this journey.
Brooktazia Weber. Talia Wheatley. Kiera White. Kamaria White. Joshua Whitfield. Siobhan Wilshire. Curtis Williams. Tiffany Williams.
My name is Tiffany Williams. I'll be graduating with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. Thank my family and my WSSU family for helping me along this journey.
Amik Willis. Michaela Wilson. Najee Wilson.
Yolanda Woods. Courtney Yancey. Kobe Wright. Nasrin Yusuf. Ferris Zaire.
I'm Ferris here, and I will be receiving my degree in computer science. I would like to thank my mom, my dad, my sisters, and my loved ones for helping me get here. This degree is for us.
Hilda Zaldivar.